Hi, my dear lovely Fundoo Class students. How are you? Welcome to the session. Hope you're fit and fine. Hope you're taking good care of yourself. Hope you're staying indoors. Hope you're all masked up and you're taking relevant precautions needed. Welcome to our session. So, here this is our special series where we are learning important concept of grammars and we have started with verbs. So, we are going to take the discussion ahead. And before we commence with today's session, could I please request you to use the share button and invite all your buddies for the class? Please do invite your playmates, your cousins, whoever you think the session is going to be useful. And my name is Juhi Narula. I have 12 years of experience in training students for various competitive exams. I also happen to be a life skills coach and a content creator. I've done my bachelor's in technology and master's in business administration. So in today's class, we are going to learn more about verbs. As you know, that this series is specially curated to help you understand the fundamental concepts of verbs. If you'll get good clarity on verbs, it would be easy for you to understand the concept of tenses. So far we have talked about what are verbs. So verbs are action words. Then we classified verbs in two categories. The first category we talked about what are the physical verbs and what are the mental verbs. So physical verbs are the ones where there is a physical action involved, and mental verbs are the ones where we think or doubt or worry, right? So actions are associated with cognitive state. Further, we talked about transitive and intransitive verbs. So, transitive verbs are the ones where the verb would require an object to make sense, and intransitive verbs are the ones where the verb would not demand an object, right? So, in today's class, we are going to learn about auxiliary and stative verbs. Very interesting concept. Hi to everybody who has just joined. Welcome to the session. So good to have you. So before we commence, I would again request you to use the share button. If you have not done so, please invite your friends for our very special Fundoo class where we learn and have fun together. So the agenda would be to learn about auxiliary and stative verbs, and this would be followed by a quick practice session where I'll give you an exercise to solve. I'll give you some time and then we'll discuss it together. So let's get started and learn this very interesting concept. So what are auxiliary verbs? These verbs have also got a special name. We also call them helping verbs, and they are used in addition to the main verb so that we are able to understand the tense of the question, or at times we can also identify a question using these auxiliary verbs, or we can help get a negative statement with the help of auxiliary verbs. So let's get started and learn some examples. Say for instance, I say that I am teaching in the class. So let me just write the statement for you to help you understand that what do we mean by auxiliary verbs. Say for instance, I write the statement for you, I am teaching in the class. Are you able to see the sentence? Right. So in this case, teaching is the main verb, right? So what is the action that's happening? That is teaching. Am we are going to call auxiliary verb, right? With the help of am, we are able to understand that this is happening in present continuous tense. So where do we use a present continuous tense? Present continuous tense is used to talk about the actions that are happening at the time of speaking, right? So if instead of I, you would have used she, then the auxiliary verb would have been is. She is teaching in the class. And instead, if we could have used plural subject like teachers, then the auxiliary verb would have been are, right? So the auxiliary verbs are going to vary depending on the agreement of the verb with the subject. So it helps us agree the subject and the verb. Also, auxiliary verbs are used to help us understand verbs tense. What is the time of the action, right? So there are common auxiliary verbs like is, am, are, have, might, will. So let's quickly take some examples to understand the concept better. So, like I said, would, should, do, can, did, could, may. These are all auxiliary verbs. And how are they used? So, if you are going to see the first sentence, I will go home after football practice. So, you are going to understand that go is what? Go is the main verb. So, what is the action that's going to happen? That I will go. Now, why are we using will? Will is an auxiliary verb, right? Or it is an helping verb. So, the auxiliary verb will is helping us understand that I will do this action in the near future, right? So after the football practice has ended, then I will go home, right? So how did you get this understanding? With the help of the auxiliary verb will, right? So are you able to understand that how auxiliary verbs are used, right? So if I say I go home after football practice, so in this case we usually are not having a definite time frame. By adding auxiliary verbs, you'll be able to get an advantage to have an understanding of the definite time frame. So here, that is the reason I was saying in the beginning that if you have got good understanding of verbs, you will have a better ability to understand what are tenses, right? So let's further proceed and take some more examples. Now, when I say I may dance with you later, so here I am using may to talk about a possibility. We did consider Brian's feelings, so again, did is what? It is an auxiliary verb. Jenny has spoken her final words, so if you will see, has is again an auxiliary verb, right? So has spoken is able to make you understand that the action that we are talking about is happening in present perfect, right? So present perfect is either you use has if we are talking about singular subject, or have if we are talking about plural subject, and with the verb third form. So, what do we mean by verb third form? Any verb exists in three states, and that is the convention. So, if one of you might ask, ma'am, why three states and why not four? It is a convention or a rule that we abide by, right? So, that would be a just application or the definition that I would use to answer, right? So you can take some more examples. Might you dance with me later? So you can use the auxiliary before the pronoun to help you make a question. So see, are you able to understand that here we are using the auxiliary before you, a pronoun, or here before we, and here Jenny is the noun. So you can either use it before noun or pronouns. So you will see we are using these auxiliaries, and these auxiliaries, if we are placed before nouns or pronouns, they will help us make questions. So let's see the examples. Might you dance with me later? So I'm asking you, right? So yeah, these both have agreed, I think. So did we consider Brian's feelings? Has Jenny spoken her final words? So we can see how auxiliary words are also verbs are also used to create questions, right? I hope we are sorted with the concept, everybody. So quickly give me a thumbs up if you're good to move ahead. Okay, great, great. So we have talked about how auxiliary verbs help to get a better understanding of the time of the action. Also, we have understood how it is used to create questions. Now, at times, we can use auxiliary verbs to form negative sentences. So let's see. I may never dance with you. We did not consider Brian's feeling. Jenny has not spoken. So we are using the same sentences, and we are using variations of the same sentence so that you get better clarity of how auxiliary verbs can be used, right? So let's further proceed and learn about a very important concept which we call stative verbs. So, like I stated, the word itself indicates that stative verbs are the ones where there is an expression of a state rather than an action, right? They can relate to emotions or relationships or senses or state of existence and measurements. How this is interesting to explore, and we are going to take some examples. So, let's see. The best way to think about stative verbs is that they are verbs that describe things and not actions, like I stated a minute before. So there can be an expression of doubting, there can be an expression of believing, or a state of wanting, and these states are usually temporary in nature, right? So these states are the one which are not permanent. Let's learn some examples to get the concept better. So the doctor disagrees with your analysis, right? So it's a stative verb. It is the state of being. So what is the state of being of the doctor? He is disagreeing, right? Now John doubts the doctor's opinion. So this is again, doubting is a state. It's a mental state and not to do anything with the action, right? I believe the doctor is right. She wanted another opinion. So you'll take a look at all these four statements, you'll understand that these are stative verbs and mostly talking about a state of being, right? Disagreement, doubting, believing, needing, or wanting, right? So these are, names given to the type of verbs so that our understanding becomes clear, right? Imagine if there is a class and each one of you is not given a name, how chaotic it would be, right? That is the reason that in verbs also where there are various categories possible, and we try to figure out that what are the categories, right? So that helps you get better understanding of the concept, and then putting them in categories makes our understanding better, right? So we are going to do an interesting exercise, but before that you are going to take a quick break so that you're all charged up to participate in this interesting exercise. So quickly go, and I'll give you 2 minutes to take a quick break, have a glass of water. Usually in winters, we do not have a lot of water, and it really saps our energy levels. Why do we feel dull in winters? Because our intake of water or intake of liquid is poor, right? So please ensure that you are having adequate, water so that you're all charged up. You can have some winter delicacies which are quick to eat. There's so many interesting things in winters that you can eat, right? So it's a time, especially January is the time where we really indulge in sesame seeds, which we call til. So I'm sure there must be a lot of interesting, edible stuff at your place, which we usually relish during the time of Sakranti or during the time of Lodi. Everybody enjoys it. Such a beautiful festival that, people around the country celebrate it under the various names. So there must be so much kept in the kitchen. Go quickly have it. And for those who are not feeling tired, you can close your eyes, relax, or you can quickly revise the concept so that you're all charged up, right? So quickly take a 2 minutes break and then bounce back so that we can solve our drill. Great. So we have some students who have come back. Welcome again, and let's wait for a few more seconds for everybody to join. Great. So, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining back. I hope you're all charged up. So, this is a very simple drill. Now, since we have understood what are auxiliary verbs, what are you going to do? I'm going to give you some sentences, and there are 5 sentences, and your role will be to mark the auxiliary verbs. So, please go ahead, take 2 minutes, read the sentence carefully and mark the auxiliary verbs, and then we are going to get into the discussion. Use your notebooks or use a scratch pad. I always believe that using a scratch pad helps you, you know, stay more involved in the discussion. So please ensure that you're jotting down, or you're doing rough work, or you're using your notebooks to note down important things, whatever you might feel is important, whatever you are able to streamline or sieve or filter, that you feel would be, useful for you to retain, or you're unaware about, or there's a good possibility that you might forget. So it's always good to pen down, right? So quickly take 2 minutes and solve these sentences. Identify the auxiliary verbs. Like I said, auxiliary verbs are also called helping verbs. So let's quickly do these questions, and then we are going to discuss, right? So please take 2 minutes and identify the auxiliary verbs in the sentence. Take your time, pay attention. There is no rush. Don't take it as a test, right? So usually what happens is that whenever we give a drill, students are so excited that they would just want to finish it and quickly, tell the teacher that the drill is done. But I always recommend that take your own sweet time. This is not a test. The intent is not to test you, but the intent is to help you learn, apply the concept, right? So don't get yourself in a testing mode where, just after completing the session you would want to get all the five answers right. um, Usually it will happen, but in case it is not happening, that means there is some understanding which is missing, so you can always revisit the concepts, right? If you are in a mad rush to quickly finish, then you might not focus on learning the concept, rather your focus would be to finish the paper, and that is something we are not wanting here. So please take your time, read the sentences carefully, understand the functionality of the auxiliary verb. We already have discovered that what can be the possible functions. So gather those in your mind, and then take a look at the sentences and identify what would be the right auxiliary verbs that are being used in the sentences. We have some students who have finished the task. Very good. We'll wait for 1 more minute for everybody to finish this, and then we are going to start with the discussion. Great. So I think most of us have finished. So let's start with the discussion. So what is our job? Our job is to identify the auxiliary verbs in the sentence. So let's start with the first one. The sentence says, Jessica is taking John to the airport, right? So if we are going to see, taking is the main verb. So what is the action happening? That Jessica is taking John to the airport, right? So taking is the main verb or the main action. Now is the supporting verb or the helping verb or the auxiliary verb. So yes, at times you can also get this term supporting used, or you can also call it helping verb, right? Now if you take a look at the sentence, like I was previously explaining, is am are plus verb first form plus ing. So this is ing, okay? This is present continuous. So present continuous tells you about the about an action that's happening at the time of speaking, right? In this moment, whatever action is happening, you use present continuous. Is used for singular. So like Jessica is a singular subject, so we are using is. If I talk about I, you are going to say you are going to use the auxiliary verb am. I am taking John to the airport. So that's how I'm going to construct the statement. And if I make a statement like this, they are taking John to the airport, right? So if you're going to see this, you're going to understand that they is a plural subject. So with plural, are will be the auxiliary verb. With I am is going to be the auxiliary verb, and with any singular subject is going to be the auxiliary verb, especially when we talk about present continuous. So in between, I will just give you some quick information so that when we discuss tenses in detail, you are slightly comfortable, right? You know a little details so that you feel a little confident in the class, right? So everybody, I hope you are sorted with this particular question or the statement. Quickly give me a thumbs up and then we are going to move to the next one. Have we got it? Are we able to understand? Hope we are not intimidated. If you have done it right, very, very good. Great. And if you could not just do it, then it is okay. We are learning, right? Everybody is learning and everybody has got his or her own pace to learn. As long as we are moving in the forward direction and we are progressing, we should be happy about it, right? We should not really get intimidated that I did not get the question right. It is fine. If you're going to practice more, you're definitely going to get it, right? So let's move to the second one. If he does not arrive on time, he will have to take a later flight, right? So if we check, the sentence is in two parts. So first we are going to concentrate till this part. If is a condition, of course. If he does not arrive, right? So if you're going to see, does not is the auxiliary verb, right? Right, so this is how there's a negative sentence that we are making with the help of a with the help of an auxiliary verb. Like one of the usages we learned, he will have to. So see this is a contraction. So in one of the sessions I did talk about apostrophe. So he apostrophe double L is a contraction of he will. So I will just quickly revise this concept. Apostrophe has got two usages. One is possession, where if you say Ram's pen, you're trying to show belongingness, and at times use apostrophe for contraction. So he double L is a contracted version of he will. So here will is an auxiliary verb. He will have to. So if you will see, will is again an auxiliary verb that is helping us understand that what is going to be the outcome. So this is going to help us understand that the tense is going to be future. Right. So I hope you have got this right. Everybody who is attending the class, right? So like we're learning, we are adding a little concept in every question. Isn't it so nice? See, we it's just that you need to have that motivation to learn, and then you'll find ways. And every time you're going to explore something, you're going to find so many interesting concepts associated to grammar which are really fun to learn, right? So let's move to the next statement, which is sentence 3. Unfortunately, our dinner has been eaten by the dog. Oh, that's very sad. So let's see. In this case, you will see eaten is the main verb. So I'm going to say that, see, this is the main verb and has been is the auxiliary verb, right? You also call it supporting verb, or you might also call it helping verb. So helping verb, auxiliary verb, supporting verb. Don't get intimidated if you encounter these terms, right? So our dinner has been eaten. So dinner is the subject, hence the verb is singular. So has is usually used in case the subject is singular. So please note it down. Has is for singular, right? And have is for plural. So this is usually a mistake that most of us do. And of course, please remember, you are going to use have with I also and with you also. So I have completed my work, you have completed your work, we have completed your work. Of course, with any plural, have is definitely going to go. right? So I'm sure you're clear with this particular sentence also, everybody. So quickly give me a thumbs up and then we are going to proceed to the next sentence. So everybody, whoever is attending the class, please let me know, are we sorted here? Great, great, wonderful. Kudos to you, my dear children. What a great learning momentum we are showing, and I'm sure you're going on the right path and you're going to really shine, my superheroes. So let's move to sentence 4. I have purchased a new pair of shoes to replace the ones that were lost in my luggage. Oh, that's again sad, two sad sentences back to back. That's not good. But the good thing is that she's now able to buy a new set of shoes, right? So let's see. I have purchased, like, just see how beautiful English is, that in the previous sentence I just taught you with I, you, and the plural term we are going to use have, and here you can see the usage. I have purchased a new pair of shoes. So have is what? Have is the auxiliary verb here, and purchased is the main verb. So with the help of have, so this is has or have depending on the singularity or plurality of the subject. If we use verb third form, okay, I'll just write it. This is present perfect, right? So we are going to discuss in detail that where do we use present perfect. That's again a very important concept, and that really requires time. So I'm not picking it up here. We are going to do it in detail in a separate session. So let's come to sentence 5. We hope you don't have an accident on your way to school. So if you take a look at this, don't is acting as what? Don't is acting as an auxiliary verb, and this is helping us make a negative sentence, right? So that is it. I hope you really enjoyed this session and you're clear with the concept. So to create a list of such verbs, assemble them together and if possible make a video to explain the types of verbs and share in our Fundoo Class mobile app on our Facebook group and our Instagram page. And while you're doing it, please don't forget to use the tag hashtag Fundoo Class Live, right? I'm repeating the hashtag Fundoo Class Live, right? And I'm super excited to see your videos. And if you're really liking the sessions, please do follow me on our Fundoo Class mobile app. You can ask your friends to download it from Play Store, and in case they're using iPhones, they can download it from the App Store, right? Do leave some comments. How are you liking the sessions? What else would you want to be included? How can we make them wholesome and more knowledgeable for you? What can be added? What can be done? We are open to the feedback, and we would be very, very happy to hear from you. So please do leave the comments on the video. And like I said, I'm super excited to see the videos. In fact, the entire team eagerly awaits for you to upload the videos. All the people in the team, they get very excited and they would want to know that how are the students responding, how are they being creative, how are they using presentation skills. So just don't get boggled that, I am not a person who's great with communication skills or my presentation skills are not up to the mark. If you're going to attempt, then only we are going to learn, right? So this is one way to enhance your skill set, and believe me on this has become really important in the corporate culture where we should be able to express ourselves, right? So this is a life skill which we should really try to hone right from the beginning. So please do make the videos and we would love to see them. And what is important is in life and in grammar and everywhere that one continues to learn, explore, discover, reinvent, invent, and revise. You're right. So it would not take much of the time. So even if you're going to invest like, you know, 3 to 5 minutes today, and you'll just take a look at the concepts that we have covered so far, you'll find yourself more confident, right? You'll find more prepared to be a part of the next session. You will, enthusiastically wait to know what's going to happen next, right? And how does this happen? When you feel confident in what you are doing and how you are learning. So don't hesitate, don't think, that I know everything and what's there to revise. This was so so easy. Even if it was easy, do spare some time, right? So thank you so much for your wonderful participation. Please keep working hard. Don't forget, consistency is the key. All the best. Bye bye. Please take care.